You're like the GOAT in your industry.
I don't think that enough people envision themselves being great.
You can transfer those 3 foundational principles: commitment, discipline, perseverance. Boom, right? And you can become successful in any other arena.
Carlos Reyes on the humble show. Yeah, we all in, yeah, we all in. So grab your boys now, cause you know we all win. Lift your hands up and give them praise. Blessed every day, full of grace.
Welcome back to the All In Podcast. My name is Carlos Reyes. I am your host today. And you may want to stick around because today we have a professional athlete in the building. But before I introduce him, let me just introduce the usual suspects. To the man in the middle, the most interesting man in the industry, Mr. Zady. To my left here, I got Mr. Born Closer, aka Adrian Salgado. Now, as far as our guest goes, okay, we have one of the top athletes in the world, one of the top breakdancers in the world, God willing, a future Olympian, sponsored by Monster and Reebok, father, husband, Mr. Miguel Gravity Rosario. Welcome to the show, my brother.
My guys, I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited about this one. You are officially the first professional athlete we have on the show. It's been a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, you know, it's been amazing, but brother, you are the beginning of the wave that we're going after, which we want to put a lot of athletes on the show.
I hope to see many more on here, man. You guys are a good group of people for, any young athlete or just a professional athlete to be around. It's motivating. From the minute I walked in upstairs, it was like, man, it's the energy.
It's buzzing.
Yeah,
it's buzzing, right?
Paving the way.
And in business, just also in sports, right? Energy exceeds everything.
Yeah.
Right. Energy exceeds everything. Energy determines how you show up. Energy determines, your circle in that, specifically in that specific space. Energy determines your performance.
Yeah,
right?
It determines the outcome.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. So with that being said, brother, I know that, don't you leave the country tomorrow? Is that correct?
No. So I leave on Sunday to go train in Denver, high altitude training.
Oof.
And I do that for 10 days. I come home for a day or two to really try to kind of just like ground myself with my fam, and then dip out on the 15th to Budapest.
I love it. Brother, wow, 2024, right? The Olympics of 2024 has implemented or opened up the space for breakdancing, right? When was the last time that was done?
It's never been done. This is history in the making. So breaking has never had a platform like this. When breaking first came out into the world, it blew up, and it was a fad. And then, over time, I think people just saw it as a thing. You throw some change, you see it in the street, and it's an underground dance. But little did the world know that it never stopped. We just continued to cook, and competitions kind of started, getting intense to where it was worldwide. And, at first I was like, even for me, like I'm only in it 18 years, been around 50 years, so
you only have been in it for 18 years.
I've been breaking for it's
that's
quite
a good
some
amount of time.
It's quite some time.
That's great.
You're a veteran.
Yeah.
At this point, it's kind of crazy to hear, right? But I feel like I'm still so young in the game compared to like some of my peers that I compete against and who I've looked up to have been in it for a long time. And I see myself I seen breaking, and I see myself, and I'm like, man, this is leveling up. And sure enough, I when I first started too, I was like, man, this would be crazy because competitions to me were wild. And being an ex-gymnast, I always wanted to be in the Olympics, and knowing that breaking earned its way, through competition, people seeing like the high level, the intensity, the high stakes, $100,000 prize, $50,000 prize. It's like, what is this thing? Like, what is this thing that's being like done all over the world at a high level? I think it got the attention that it deserves, and now it's about to happen again.
Yeah.
I was explaining to these guys too. It was like Carlos was like, is breakdancing, like, is that still a thing? I know he knows Isaiah does it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, internationally, they're packing venues out.
Yeah.
And then kids are flocking towards you, and they don't even speak English, but they can speak the name Gravity, bro.
Yeah.
That has to be a feeling that,
That's like when the
That's a
92
pro athlete feeling,
Yeah,
right?
the
An
92
international athlete.
100%.
Yeah.
When I travel, I'm way bigger than who I am here in the States. So, you know, I just competed in Japan. And it was a professional sumo wrestling stadium.
Wow.
5,000 people, sold out seats.
That's crazy.
You know, internationally, breaking is respected at a very high level. It's got a lot of support. Team Japan signed $1 million deals for the Olympic team. You know, all these other countries are really getting some major support from their country itself, from their government. United States is still light years behind.
Why do you think that is?
I think the United States has its sports that work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I can just keep it real,
Baseball,
it has its
football,
baseball, football, basketball.
yeah.
It was a big deal when
Basketball's China.
soccer came here. You know what
And
I'm
it's
saying?
still not popping
and
off.
it's still
Yeah.
not popping off.
Yeah, they
you
have to
know?
bring Messi over for
Yeah,
catch a little buzz.
yeah.
100% just to get a little buzz.
Yeah.
And that's huge, you know,
Yeah.
like breaking, even though it started here, we US is already solidified on how things work. I think other countries are always trying to, you know, they survive off tourism a lot too, right? So like, what can we do to bring people here? And so breaking it's an amazing thing. If you see it, you automatically stop, no matter where you are.
Oh, for sure.
You stop in your tracks.
That's
Doesn't matter
true.
if you're in a rush or not. It'll even slow you down.
Yeah.
You know, so breaking it's an incredible thing, and it's because of the energy.
I was in New York in December, a couple months ago. And sure thing, man. I mean, there was some people doing some wild, just abnormal, unhuman, acrobatic moves, right?
100%.
And sure thing, you know, I stopped. There's a whole crowd of people surrounding these folks, and even your son actually
when we
participated.
went, yeah.
Right. And it was just wild to see. It's very what's the word? It's magnetic. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it really attracts you. Like you see somebody doing something that most people can't do,
Yeah.
and you're like, I can't help myself but to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's kind of like how we talked about film earlier today. You know, there's something about it that makes you want to know how, why, like what does it even take to do that? To me, breaking captivated me. I saw it for the first time, and I was in New York. That's where I born and raised, and I remember knowing that I can do impossible things because of gymnastics. I look at breaking, I'm like, that seems even more impossible. And these guys that you saw on the street, they're called hitters, and they are all self-taught, and they made it a way, like instead of them doing things they shouldn't be doing, man, they found a way to just make a living. And it's literally an aesthetic in New York. Like without it would be New York.
That's
you know?
right.
That's right.
It's a real
It's a
thing.
part of the culture.
100%.
Yeah,
that
It's
is
very culture driven for sure.
hitting, like being a hitter or just hitting in general it's New York street hip hop culture. It's where it started. It's like the only place you can find the purity of breaking is hitting.
Bro, it's
in the street.
When we went to New York, my son had the privilege to participate
Down
with
these
the
guys,
with the guys down in Times Square, right?
Yeah.
And he blew the crowd away.
Yeah.
You know, he was like 7 at the time.
Mhm.
But then we even had, you know, we were over with Kid Break, and he another kid that's in the game. He's trying to get to the
High
Olympics
level,
too, isn't he, right?
yeah. He's trying to make things happen too for the
But he's
future.
trying to make things happen. But we went and did a session with him, and it was crazy. Like, you rent studio space for like an hour.
Mhm.
And I just walked into this building, and I'm walking upstairs. I'm like, are we going to somebody's house? And you open a little door, and there's just a room this size with just a floor in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're just getting down.
You know,
Mhm.
can I tell you, like, why it's so amazing that breaking is at this level is because breaking, it still doesn't have a home. It has no home. It's like the orphan of all sports and culture.
Wow.
You know, like it has, like ballet has a spot, you know, like you can tennis, basketball, baseball, soccer, every sport, every activity has a home.
Now there's
Breaking,
pickleball, right? Like
They-
pickleball.
man,
is
they
big.
got-
Pickleball has a
Right.
home.
Dude.
Pickleball has restaurants, now.
right? And so when I was learning how to break, if it was raining outside, I would just break in the train station. I would just practice. My boys would just pull up and practice, and that's
Wow.
all we had. We'd go to the park. We would just try to figure it out, and to see it on a stage like this, like the Olympics, it's crazy, man. Because There is no place in New York. You know, you got to rent a studio space, you know, and it's like, it's sad, but at the same time, it's why breaking has so much character.
It's almost like a speakeasy, like only the people that know about
Only
it
if you know.
right?
Like you got to be.
It's not for
kids.
the weak, right? It's like, you know that it's not highly paid. You know that it's not highly watched, right? It's just, but I mean, you want to talk about a passion, right? Like the breakdancers are so passionate that even through all those challenges and all those obstacles, right? They stay committed to the trade. You know what I mean? They stay committed to the purpose, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, you know, in your opinion, because you've been around the world, you've been around the country, what are some of the top cities for breakdancing right now?
Texas, like Houston.
Houston
Houston has an incredible scene.
Houston over New York.
Yeah.
Houston over New York.
So New York has a breaking scene. The level, and I love New York City for life. The level is not as high as if you went to Houston, Texas.
That's where it's at.
It's just these
That's
guys.
the Mecca right now.
The Mecca is probably Japan, like Tokyo, like Japan is just on a whole. other level.
Why Tokyo? Why?
You
Is there
know,
a lot of Japanese breakdancers?
They can fly.
Yeah,
They know how to fly.
they are so disciplined. They take
Samurai.
something and they do it, and they embody the culture. You know, New York, it's like it's natural, it's normal. It's not. We're not embodying the culture. We are the culture.
Yeah.
We you know, we live it. We vibe it. It's how we talk. It's how we dress, and it inspires the world. But when you go to Europe, you go to if you ever go to like a club in Europe, there's a hip hop club, a salsa club, a reggae club. And when you go into each one of these places, they are embodying that culture. You walk into a reggae spot, people are barefoot with, you know, linen pants, and you go into a hip hop club, they're wearing do-rags with the old school G-Unit tank tops. Like, it's a real thing. Like, these other countries, it's real. They embody the culture.
They're all in.
And so 100%. And so as New York will always be the birthplace. This is what they do. If you want to go and know what the culture of hip hop and breaking is, you just stand on the concrete and you're gonna know what the city's gonna speak to you. But when you look at, like, when you ask, like, what's booming right now, it's like Japan is booming. You know, Europe, pick a country, they're doing it, dude. They're like Portugal, like they're killing it, man. You go to the Congo, and they are no shoes, dirt. These people are on dirt.
Breaking on dirt?
On dirt,
Wow.
dude.
Wow.
I'm talking
That's
about like
crazy.
that red sand after one windmill, it's a cloud. These dudes are flying, doing incredible. They are 100%.
What about Brazil?
More?
Because you know Capoeira down there.
They're
like,
insane.
think
Yo,
about it, right?
the
Capoeira,
The
breakdancing.
Brazilians are
That's right.
taking what
That's
you
right.
can do to the next level.
There it is.
You can't talk about breaking at a super high level in New York. You just can't do it. We got a lot of style. There's a lot of like approaches, though.
A lot of history.
100%. But when you talk about taking it to the next level, it's these other countries, man. And it's because they don't take it for granted. We live in Arizona. Not every day. Most people don't look at the mountains. They don't appreciate the red
You're
rocks
so
in
right.
Sedona.
You're
They're
so
just
right.
there.
Yeah.
You're so
But
right.
but when people come here, they're like the Grand Canyon.
Wow, that's right.
You know, and it's like if it's not yours, you don't. Then you appreciate it more when you have it. You know, but when it's here, it's mine. You know, kick your shoes off. It's
there.
mine.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
there,
30
Yeah.
minutes away. It doesn't matter. But someone flies,
all the way across the world.
12 hours to come look at it.
It's one of the seven wonders of the world, right?
I-
Sedona?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I mean,
Grand
Grand
Canyon.
Canyon. My bad.
Yeah, I've seen that. We get a lot of, we got a lot of friends that are from other, parts of the country.
Mhm.
And when they come in, they just take a look at the mountains here in Phoenix,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, oh
Baby
my
mountains.
God. Yeah. They're
hills.
I mean, we had a guy from DC come in last week, and he just kept talking about how beautiful these mountains are. I'm like, dude, have you been to Utah? Like,
Yeah.
those mountains are massive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think we do take a lot of things that we have for granted because it's just there,
Human
Yeah.
nature. Yeah.
And traveling the world, since I was 18 years old has made me a different human being.
Oh yeah.
I've been able to see how these different communities and cultures embody just one thing, just breaking, just music, just dance, like how it's embodied in different countries all over the world, from places where they only drink water if it rains, like to places that have it all. Like, you know, I've seen how the different perspectives, and then I come home and I'm like,
We're spoiled.
And which is why I work the way I do.
It's a little
for
disappointing.
My goals.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing, right? Like, it's a little disappointing that when you're in other parts of the world and you're just seeing the culture there and the embodiment of the craft, right? You come home and like, you're the only breakdancer I know, right? But I will say,
Two.
who's the second?
Legacy.
Isaiah.
Oh, you know,
Isaiah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know Legacy too.
You're the only adult breakdancer. Right? No, I don't even know who Legacy is, right? Legacy, yeah, but Legacy, he's more of a business guy now. He's retired, right? This guy's fully active in the mix. And you know what's crazy, bro? I don't know if Instagram isn't showing me your stuff as much as it used to, but I remember there was times where, like, bro, I'm telling you, every time that your post or reel came through my feed, there wasn't a time that I didn't stop to look at like what you were doing, because I'm telling you, bro, it beats like slamming a ball or running a touchdown. Like, it doesn't even compare. Like the stuff you were doing, I'm like, bro, there's no way this dude can do that. I'm like, is this AI? Right? Like, this dude you're doing backflips, front flips, windmills. And I'm like, bro, this is like at the highest level. You know, have you guys seen this? Have you seen this dude do what he does? It's at the highest level that I've ever seen, bro.
I think
it's respectful.
For me, what's super impressive, bro, is you're like the GOAT in your industry, right? And I say that as a compliment, right? Like, you're really great at what you do. But the fact that you're able to transfer that knowledge to a student, to somebody that you're teaching, like Isaiah, I saw Isaiah when he couldn't even breakdance, and now he's doing backflips, he's doing windmills, he's going crazy. Yeah. So like, for you to take somebody from nothing to basically semi-professional or / professional, and you to play at that level too, that's just super impressive, bro. So my question is like, how can you put that into words? The ability to do that, not only do it yourself, but to teach.
Because there's a lot of great performers. There's a lot of great players in the professional arena, but there's not a lot of great coaches. There's not a lot. Like, look at Jason Kidd with the Dallas Mavericks, right? He went to the NBA championship as a player and won. Now he's going as a coach, and from what it looks like, they're going to win too. So not every great performer or great player can be a great coach.
Yeah.
You know
like,
what
how
I
do
mean?
you even grasp the concept of and teaching the mechanics of breakdance?
Straight up.
So that's a really good question. That's actually the first time I've been asked that question. So,
brother, this is a different kind of show.
Yeah, no doubt.
We ask some interesting questions for sure.
I'm obsessed with breaking. I'm obsessed, and I'm not obsessed with just being a breaker. I'm obsessed with the future of it.
Wow.
I'm obsessed with where it can go. And I somewhat feel like I have the power to push it in a direction that nobody else can.
Yeah.
And when it comes to teaching a kid or anybody in general, or just like sharing knowledge about what I've learned, I think to myself, if I die tomorrow, how does this continue? How does the obsession continue?
Wow.
And, kids are incredible. You show a kid anything, they can do it. They're a sponge. It's really not difficult. What I'm trying to instill in my students is not just breakdancing. It's the mindset that breaking can teach you to do anything.
That's right.
Wow. Be fearless.
Yes. And you have to be, all my friends that I grew up with, respectfully, all amazing dudes, grinding, killing the game, and the best they can, but
Absolutely.
they all live their fallback plan.
Yeah.
So when their moms and their parents were saying, you guys, you need to go to college, you know, and my mom was like, man, Miguel, I don't know what you're going to do. And I would just ask you to trust me. I didn't know who the hell I thought I was, but I believed in something bigger than what everybody else was doing. And I saw all my friends talk about, I just need to have this just in case. And I didn't know what that meant. What the fuck does just in case mean?
Yeah.
You know, does that mean that I could fail?
There's
Like,
no
I
plan
didn't
B.
understand.
There's no plan B.
And in school, the way I was talked to was, if you don't have good grades, you will not succeed. Which means that there was only one way, and it was their way. And again, I was like a rebel. I didn't understand that. And so every day that I would go to practice, and the days that it started off all of us together. And then, we got older. Friends started going to college and stuff. But then they started going from, like, in the movie Sandlot, they're all playing ball at the end.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely.
They just start to fade
One by
away.
one.
And it was
Start
only
to fade
one
away.
dude running from plate to home base.
Yeah.
And who's the one that was in the
professional.
MLB? He was the
Professional, yeah.
professional.
What's his name?
Rodriguez.
Yeah, it was
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Benny the Jet
Benny the
Rodriguez.
Jet.
And that was, and I
Pia
feel
Flyers.
like
Got
that was
goosebumps.
me. So my crew and I, Five Crew Dynasty, when we first started, and I'll tell you why I'm going this route. Our dream was to go to Battle of the Year. It was the biggest event in the world. Only the best crews of the crews go to this event. It's 10,000 people at this event.
Oof.
It's in Germany. It's the biggest freaking event in the world. And that was our dream as a crew. When we were working and getting there, we were like building our name, building our rep, traveling the country, traveling the world. But then the college started happening, midterms started happening, can't leave. I'm the only one in my crew. I went to Battle of the Year, and I went there for the one-on-one because my crew wasn't around to do the crew battle. And I saw all these guys that we beat, that we competed against, that we wanted to see there. They were there with their crews, giving hugs, hype for getting to the next level. And I was stretching for the one-on-one, and I lost the one-on-one because I was there. I was crying. I was like, I was there for my dream. I was there, but I was the only one there.
It was your worst nightmare being there by yourself.
100%.
Now let me ask you that was deep. I felt that, by the way.
Yeah.
I felt that, bro.
Wait, before you ask that question.
Yeah.
So before you ask that question, so it goes back to me teaching. And I got there with the bad grades. I got there with the no fallback plan. And so when I look at these kids, almost 100% of the kids that I teach go to regular school. And for me, that's where it starts. That's where the doubt starts. And I am like, I want to be the person in somebody's life that would be able to tell you from experience that whatever route you choose, if you stick to it and you believe it, if you really mean that you're going to do this, then it can be done. And I'm going to show you how. Do you know how to spin on your head? No. Let me show you something real fast. And then boom, it's just like, this is impossible. To the average human being, it's impossible.
I've never spinned on my head, bro.
My head is spun, but I've never spun on it.
It's dangerous, bro. And it's like, so is life.
Oof. Hold on, bro.
Yeah.
Ooh. You'll see it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so is life. And so that's where, like, people saying breakdancing, people still do that. Or like, oh, you breakdance? I was so discouraged to tell people what I did for a living. And even nowadays, when I say, oh, I'm a pro athlete, what sport? Are you like a fighter or a runner? I was like, no, I breakdance. They're like, no way. I'm trying to get to the level where when you meet a boxer, pro boxer, right? It's like, man, nice to meet you.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Skills. But you meet a breaker, you're like, no way, let me see a windmill. Let me see a backflip. It's like a little dance monkey, You're not going to see a pro boxer and be like, yo, let me see a quick combo. Let me see, what's your banger? I'm trying to show people that there is a level of professionalism, but we have to gain the respect. And I may not get there, I may not get there, but your son will. Your son will get us there. So it's the legacy of our history, you know? And so that's my obsession, is the future of breaking. That's how I teach.
Damn, bro, that hit me.
Yeah, bro.
You know,
let me just touch up on that, brother. So, what I'm seeing from you is there's a level of commitment that is required to do what you do.
Yeah.
Just like any other sport. There's a level of discipline to do what you do, just like any other sport. There's a level of perseverance to do what you do, right? Which is not giving up, you know, just like any other sport. And if you take those foundational principles, right, that you're constantly sharpening through your craft, and you apply that in the world, right, with whatever profession, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a businessman, whatever, you can now transfer that. It's not unknown to you, right? Like you can transfer those 3 foundational principles: commitment, discipline, perseverance, boom, right? And you can become successful in any other arena.
Correct.
Right. And the other sense that I get from you, brother, it's almost like the biblical story of King David and King Solomon, right? King David, his dream was to build the temple of God. And he came to the realization, he's like, I may not be able to finish this. I may not be able to do it. But guess who will? King Solomon, right? Yeah. King Solomon ended up building the temple of God. King Solomon ended up completing what King David started. You know what I'm saying? So it's amazing to hear that, bro. And honestly, bro, I've always ask him and his wife. There's never been a time where I've always had so much respect for you, right? Because a professional respects a professional, no matter what.
Facts.
And you can ask him like, hey, bro, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, he's the best. Like it was like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You guys got to work out or whatever. He's the best, bro. I've seen it with my eyes. Game recognizes game. He's the best. This dude is who he says he is. He's the guy, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to know, bro, that our family highly respects you. Respects you.
They show it every
not only
time
for
I see
not
them,
only for the
man,
person you are, but again, bro, for your professionalism in what you do.
That's right.
Yeah. One thing that I said, right, because you started focusing more on your journey to the Olympics. So there was a hiatus where you were teaching, right? And so my son, we decided to put him in a different sport. And he ran two seasons of flag football.
Bro, he crushed it.
But the thing about it was, unfortunately, the coaching was not. You set a standard that I personally don't know if any other coach,
bro,
is going to be able to fulfill. I haven't seen it yet,
bro.
Right?
I can't even go to the games.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I got kicked out of the games, bro.
I haven't
He's
seen
like,
it
I
yet.
can't even go to the games because the
Yelling at
coaches
the
don't know
coach.
what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But and this dude, his son's over there, bro. He's doing the Barry Sanders spin move, and he's averaging 2 touchdowns a game. And he just he gives up the ball like it was just nothing. Like he doesn't even celebrate, right? And again, I think bro, you've had a huge impact on my godson and his son. You've had a huge impact. That dude, straight A student, crazy athlete, right? Just a very, very special human being. You know what I mean?
Confident
and again,
but humble.
Confident but humble,
Yeah.
right? But where? Like, where does this come from? Give me a child until he is 7 and I will show you the man. You've had a huge impact on that little dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always say too, right? Your kids are going to spend time away from you regardless. So they're going to have other teachers in their
other
lives.
influences.
Other influences in their life, more so than you, right? Your teachers that you're with, if you're in sports, the coaches that you're with.
Yeah.
And one thing that I said about, that I always say about you, brother, it wasn't even the skill set that you taught my son. It's the inspiration and the positivity
The
that
mindset.
I would sit there and I would watch you teaching, and you have all your students in front of you, and you're pouring into them the same way that I would, and the way he would, and the way, Zady would, like the same mindset that we pour into our kid. It doesn't miss a beat when he's around somebody like yourself, right? And that, to me, that's who Miguel is. That's not Gravity. Gravity is the performer and the athlete that's doing the flips.
Gravity's the
windmills.
muse.
Yeah,
Wow.
the muse, right?
Yeah, Gravity's
But
the
Miguel
muse.
is that
That's
person, bro. We met you in Sedona. right?
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
like we really met you in Sedona.
Yeah.
We got to know who Miguel was. And then watching you and how you handle things and overcome. And keep in mind, too, like this dude is doing all of these things and he's a father of 5.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I've seen all his kids, bro.
And his kids are well
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
They're amazing human
Got
beings
NBA
too. Yeah.
starting 5, bro.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, brother. You talked about you being a gymnast,
Yeah.
right? How old were you? Where did the journey start? What was the first thing you did and why? Were you in gymnastics or where did this all start?
So crazy. I can go back really far. But from what I was always recognized in the gymnastics world as Little Miguel from the stroller. That's Little Miguel from the stroller. So my parents met through gymnastics. They did gymnastics. My high school coach was my mom and dad's coach, you know, who was my gymnastics. He judged me in gymnastics. And when I turned 12, he recruited me to go all the way to Queens, to Long Island City High School to like revive the team. It was a thing. But I remember just being a kid in the gym while my dad was working. I would just be running around the gym, building forts out of mats, straight up. And I remember we went to a demo. I went to a demo with my dad. And, you know, this demo was crazy. It had a huge crowd lined up on the side of the spring floor, which was like straight. It was like a long, straight floor. And I wanted to get down with my dad and the guys. Like they were tumbling, doing crazy tumbling passes. And he's like, no, man, you got to have a back handspring, which is a backflip with your hands. You know, you can't be out here if you don't have a back handspring, you know? And I was like, as a dad today, I'd been like, watch my kid do a cartwheel. But my dad, that was not his mentality. He was like, good. He was like serious about this thing, you know? And he told me, you need a back handspring, dude. And I remember just seeing how many people were there and how they cheered for the people that were doing stuff. Ooh. That I went in between the parallel bars, which at that time was massive. I was 5 years old. And I remember just watching them do it and then be like, I know I want it. So I went for it. And it was a soft mat. And I landed on my head and my hands. And I was like, watch it again, went for it. And crashed again. And finally I started getting it, landing on my knees. Started getting it, landing on my feet. Finally I got it. And then I went into a harder mat and went for it, and I got it. And I went up to my dad. It probably took me, you know, in my head, it probably took me maybe 30 minutes. It was probably 10. And because they were getting ready to start. And I went out there. I went over to my dad. I said, I got a back handspring. He was like, you don't have a back handspring. And I was like, I got a back handspring.
He's like, let me see.
Yup. And he put me on blast in front of everybody. He didn't know if I was going to fail or not. He just threw me out
and
to the wolves.
Everybody's watching, all his peers.
Peers and crowd.
This little kid.
And I just went back handspring, 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 to the point where I almost made it all the way down and I was dizzy. And I remember after the third one that the crowd just got louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. That was the first moment in my life that I knew what performing was.
That's all you needed.
And then from there, it was a crate. My dad, everybody hugged me. It was like a huge thing. And that was like the coolest train ride home. With my dad, and then he told my mom, and then they asked me if I wanted to do gymnastics for real. And that's when I met my coach Igor, who like, he's from Ukraine, and he was like, no joke. Like now when I said yes to that, I was in the gym 6 days a week, 3.5 hours, 4 hours a day at 5, 6 years old.
Bro, how many hours do you think you've dedicated to your craft?
Of breaking
in your lifetime?
Estimate. Can we estimate?
Yeah. So
I you're north of 10,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say 20. I did the math, just like guesstimating because you know you have to count like competitions are like 15 hours long. How many competitions have I done? Yeah. And I'm a little over 10,000 hours for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like in breaking in the last 18 years, I'm probably one of the only breakers in the world that has not taken a break. I haven't taken a year off. I didn't even know what that was. You know, I got into a motorcycle accident and it was really bad. Doctor was like, man, you're not going to be doing this. And I was still showing up to events, like still in the ciphers, like still making it happen. Like I broke my wrist, fractured my pelvis, still figuring out what I can do at practice that doesn't hurt. You know, strengthen other areas that weren't as strong and so on and so forth. Like literally obsessed, you know, like.
Let me ask you this, because, right, so you go in, you start learning gymnastics, you become a state champ, right?
Yeah, state, regional
champion. And then breakdancing comes along.
Yeah, where was that?
your thought process was you were going to make it to the Olympics
For gymnastics.
Yeah. Breakdancing comes along. Talks of breakdancing being in the Olympics,
Not even
existent, right?
Yeah.
It's not even a thought at that point.
Mhm.
Like, to make that transition and almost to kind of veer from your dream of being in the Olympics,
Mhm.
like how does that come about?
You know, probably a few years ago, I would have had a different answer. And, you know, it would have been something along the lines of like, man, it was distracting. You know, it was a distracting thing. Like, it pulled me away. But I think when now with how I understand how life goes, man, it was my calling. You know, it was something, it wasn't a distraction. It was something higher telling me this is where I belong. And although my whole family was like, no, this is where you belong. You're so good at this already. That, like, gymnastics was the foundation to something greater. You know, gymnastics will forever be something that I love. I love watching the sport. I'm a fan of it. I can go to gymnastics competitions and enjoy it. But breaking gave me freedom. In gymnastics, you win by 1/10 of a point. If my toe was pointed more than yours, if I landed a little further and stuck it, we could both stick the landing. But if I landed a little bit further, I just got more height, got more air, got more time, and it's just 1/10 of a point. We all did the same moves. It was nothing different. It was all the same mechanics. No creativity. And, you know, I was the first gymnast in the world to compete at air flare. But I got kicked out the competition for it. And now I'm getting called to do like seminars on how to teach air flares for gymnasts. It's kind of ironic.
How'd you get kicked out? What happened?
My coach pulled me out.
It was like an illegal move.
Get that breakdancing shit out of here is what he told me.
Where was this?
This is the same guy that coached my mom and my dad. He was like Ken Akron. He's the GOAT though. Like, you know, but he's hardcore gymnastics. Breaking was a street thing. You know, when you're growing up in New York City, that's a street thing. You with street dudes, and gymnastics is already professional, and you know, like it's
very sophisticated.
Yes, it's a very different thing. You show up looking fresh, like in basketball at competition day, and then you change into your stuff. You know, like breaking was different. But when I saw breaking, I was playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. You know, I was playing the BMX games, and I'm like, yo, breaking would be a dope video game. Like, and then I got the thought that I wanted to be the Tony Hawk of breaking because it didn't exist. Ooh. And that's when I was like, this is what I want to do. You know, there's no gymnastics games. Like, I'm a kid playing video games. The thought process was, how do I become the guy, the Tony Hawk of this? You know, and that's when like gravity was like born.
Why? Let me ask you this: Why gravity? Right? Because gravity is a muse. Gravity is an alter ego, right? You know, like Superman's alter ego was Clark Kent, kind of reverse role, right? But Peter Parker's alter ego was Spider-Man, right? Yeah. Why gravity?
You know, somebody had to. You know, my mom is the one who came up with the name. You know, my mom was like,
"It's a fire name, by the way."
Yeah, she was the one that was like, "You should call yourself anti-gravity." I was like, "That's mad long. That's corny. I'm not doing that." And then she was like, "Well, then try gravity or something. Like, you flip in the air." And you know, when you hear like in that minute, like in the midst of that conversation, it's cool. It's a name, not realizing that the meaning behind like what gravity is. Yeah. There's like a bigger meaning behind it, you know, not controlling what's in the air, but it's bringing people closer. It's like attracting. It's who is this person? So gravity became, you know, you can meet me and shake my hand and I'm going to be a humble guy. When you meet gravity, this guy gets to be whoever he wants to be. You know, this guy gets to be the villain, which is who I am in breaking, you know, like, or at least I was like a hardcore villain. It's how I got here. I didn't care about you or anything you had going on. You were in my way. And I made it a thing where I wasn't winning competitions, but people were still talking about me. And I started to wonder like, why? And it's because I called out the big bad wolf at the events and made them go toe to toe until they quit. You know, like I battled everybody. I wanted to be the king. There was this guy called King Calm 3, and I was like, I want to be called the king. I want to be called the King Gravity. I want to be the guy who ran New York. I want this to be my city. Like I just, you know, you grow up watching movies and all these different things, and it's like I want to be the person you talk about when you hear breaking, and that was Crazy Legs, you know, and you know, Gravity was the vessel. Gravity was the vehicle. The
names are crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
Crazy Legs. Like, give me some of the most popular names out there that you're like, man, those are dope names. Like, in my opinion, obviously, Gravity is pretty, right?
Gravity's
it's pretty dope, right?
Man, you have like Alieness.
Is that a girl? Or?
No, it's a guy.
Is that a play on Elliot Ness, the FBI guy?
To be honest, I don't know. You know, like, man, let's think, man. Like some
Crazy Legs.
Crazy Legs is one. You have man.
Well, Legacy's pretty deep. That's a cool name.
Legacy's
right?
fire.
Cool.
Yeah. There was one Devious.
Yeah.
Like DVS. Yeah. You know. I don't know, man. They're just out there, dude. Like.
That's part of the creativity, though.
Yeah,
like,
and
your name doesn't develop until you start to do these things, right? And then your style of dancing
becomes that.
It becomes that, bro.
There's quick step.
Yeah. There's there's times where he was the first person to do a double front flip,
backflip,
double backflip in a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it, bro.
Double backflip.
Is that like flipping twice
in the air before I hit the floor?
Oh shit!
So go up 1, 2, and come down.
I can't even do a front flip, bro.
Man, you could barely walk.
Like, what is it, right? So when you do stuff like that, it's only obvious like you're defying gravity. So it's like,
that's right. Yeah.
it's almost like like your mom wanted you to be anti-gravity because you were that, but anti-gravity is more of like, okay, so he probably flies around and stuff like that. But like you said, when you just name it gravity, it's like, look, I control gravity.
Yeah.
I can take it down to the ground and just move fast, or I can just be up in the air as long as I want to be. Right. And I think that's kind of how those names come about, is like, it first comes to how do you break? And then once you start to get that idea, then it evolves into your style.
Yeah. The moves that I think about have 100% to do with like who Gravity is. You know, all my moves are like very directed. They're very like in the air. They're like stalling time for a second. It'll make you think that I'm pausing for a second in the air, but I'm not. I'm just like waiting before I react. Like, it's just like, how can there's this like thing, it's called 7-0s in breaking. It's a thing that I teach to kids. It's a thing that I was taught, and it was a standard that was set for me. The standard of 7-0s is, you know, you killed the game when you can get the crowd to go, oh, for 7 seconds. Anything under that just wasn't enough.
That was cute.
And with that, set the standard for my moves. Like, that move's not enough. Nah, it's got to be better. It's got to be bigger. And it kind of put me into a place where like it's never enough. But it also taught me that I can do more. Like, you know, I gotta hit that level. Like, there's a standard. It's 7-0s.
That's the fascinating thing about this dude, right? Is that Gravity. He's the father, he's the coach, he's the athlete, but somehow this dude always finds time to fucking explore a new skill.
Shit.
Like, when I met him, he was picking up tattooing, you know, painting. He was, you know, he had a green thumb, he had plants everywhere.
Videography.
Recently just got his new house.
Bro,
he's taking a bulldozer to his backyard. Like, you know, some people don't even have the time to find to open a book. And this dude is just filling his life every single day with new skills that nobody's telling him, like, hey, bro, focus on this. I've always respected that about you, bro.
And I appreciate
Let me ask you this, bro. Why do you think a lot of breakers that have the potential to really take it to a very high level, why do you think they fall short of the journey, right? Why do you think they give up? Why do you think they give up on the journey or themselves? What are some of the biggest challenges that they face?
You know, personally, I'm terrified to fail. I'm afraid of what that would look like. I'm afraid of what that would feel like, to know so much time is just dedicated to like kind of say something I did back in the day. I think that it's gonna be hard, but I think that like, you know, my biggest inspiration is my like utilizing my imagination is like who I envision myself being in 10 years. And I don't think that enough people envision themselves being great. I think that they're kind of too stuck in like the what ifs. And I think that they're stuck too much in the moment. And I see myself in 10 years and I'm like my best self, like this guy. I've met this man. I've talked to this man. I can see him every day. I know now I know like how he talks, how he does business, how he treats his family, how he treats others, how he treats himself, what he does when he wakes up in the morning. You know, what's his routine? What's his schedule? How does he get away from life? And then I every day try to be that man, the best I can.
Yep.
And so I don't think people understand how powerful small goals are. Like the daily goals, you know, it's really easy to feel like you're not enough, especially in today's day and age. And I think what people fall short of, especially in breaking, is we get so caught up in the, you know, the L's that we may take that we forget about the small things that were good.
Yeah.
That did take us forward.
Yeah.
And I've been in the ground about it, man, where I'm just like I'm not there, bro. Like look at my bank account, living at my in-laws. You know, my kids are sleeping on the couch and I'm just like, like most people would be like, no, man, I got to get a job. I can't do this. But me, I said, okay, what is good about this? You know, what is okay about this? Okay, I'm able to save. Okay, I'm able to wear more hats right now because you know what? I'm not paying rent. And yeah, we are here, but I don't want them to be here much longer.
No.
It's just a different drive, man. I am my kids, I look at them and I'm like, nope, they need more. And they don't need it, but they deserve it because I got good kids. And some people, they need money right now. You know, they need it right now and I don't need it right now. I've been to places where they don't have it and they will probably never have it.
And they're happy.
Thriving. People walking 2 hours to practice. You know, come on.
That's gratitude right there.
You know, like, come on.
Not two, like, so 4 total, like 2 hours to practice, 2 hours.
And then you gotta, yes.
Wow, jeez.
Yes. Like I met these people. I'm like, oh man, you live in the area. They're like, no, brother, I walked here to train here. Like that's a thing every day. And it's like, whoa. Yeah. I got friends who will not come practice in my garage because it's 30 minutes too far.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a real thing. Like, you know, and so breakers are dedicated. They're obsessed with breaking. But it's hard to see the vision of like a sustainable future.
Yeah.
So far.
Correct. So far.
Well, it comes with a lot of sacrifices.
People would deem me insane when I first told them like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do for a living. Yeah. And it's like, man, you can't dance for the rest of your life. And I'm like, well, I can. I just can't be competing at such a high level for the rest of my life, which is why I'm trying to capitalize on it now. You gonna support me or if not, get out the way.
Did you
need that energy?
Did you have a vision of going to the Olympics and having breaking a part of the Olympics, or is that an opportunity that just came up and you're like, oh, here's my chance?
I always thought it would be cool, but I never knew how it would happen.
But you actually thought like breaking would be in the Olympics
and how it would look.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, 100%. Wow. Years, 10 plus years ago, this would be crazy in the Olympics. It's probably around 2012 when I was supposed to go to the Olympics, and I was like, I'm breaking. You know, like I'm breaking about six years now, and I'm like, man, breaking would look crazy on this stage. Like if breaking was in the Olympics, this would be insane. And I already knew like what competitions were like and how hard they were, and like that's hard stuff, you know. And I know how hard breakers work, and I know how dedicated you have to be at that level. I always saw it, you know, but I just didn't think. How do you do that? How do you even get it there?
Yeah.
And when it hit, I was like, this makes sense.
By the way, I got a question for you because I overheard you guys talking about some kind of insurance on legs, or what was that? What were you guys talking about?
The real estate.
The real
Oh no,
estate.
yeah, he was talking about. Oh yeah, please dive into that. He was saying that, you're doing your sponsorship deals,
Mhm.
and they wanted to give you like an exclusive deal, so you had to wear that brand. And I'm leaving out the brand so you can bring it up if you want. But you said something that was really interesting. Thanks for bringing it up, bro. You're like, my feet are like my real estate.
Correct.
Like,
They're your assets.
You're their asset. Can you dive into that story?
Yeah. So when you as a breaker, you're an artist. And in the art world, or like just like in skating, it's like it's an artistry, and it's culture over anything. But like in order for me to make this a business, I have to look at myself as gravity, and gravity is the asset. He's the product. What gravity does is dope, and brands want to be attached to what gravity does. And this is like my mentality. So the first company I've ever been sponsored by was Monster Energy. And before that, I would do like commercial deals. And these little commercial deals would be dope. It would be like a product thing. And I would realize that they would want to see me in their shoe or their shirt or their hat, their jacket, or drinking their drink.
Mhm.
And they would want to see that, and they would focus on it in these commercials, these videos. And I was like, man, like somebody asked me, what are you, have you heard of the Instant Millionaire? It's a book. Oh, it's a fire book. Instant Millionaire. Well, anyway, in this book, it was like, what do you see yourself? Like, how do you see, how much are you worth? If you could make any amount of money in a year, how much would it be? And the guy was like, well, I'd be happy with 40,000. I'd be happy with this. And then so on and so forth throughout the book. He convinced this dude that he was worth $1 million. And I had to think to myself, well, did this commercial, I made 5,000, did this one, 2,000, did this. Where is the focus? And it's like, well, that commercial that I did 5,000, that was on my feet. That one was a whole fit, and Monster, when they first came in the game, they wanted, and I was young, I didn't know any better. They were like, hey, we want to sponsor you. We love what you do. We're not asking for anything, but we just want to be attached to gravity and whatever gravity does. All you have to do is wear a hat. And at all competitions, you show some type of prominent branding. And we will pay for your flights, pay for all your hotels, and we'll kick you a monthly bump. I was like, 2014, where I was paying for my own flights everywhere I went. And I was like, that sounds good. Mm-hmm. You think about something like that. I'm doing minimum 12 events, but I'm doing about 18. That's close to like $50,000 worth of flights and hotels. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's just my journey you want to pay for. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now Reebok comes along and they're like, we want you to wear Reebok at all your events. And I'm like, well, that's a X amount. And they weren't able to we weren't there. It's brand new. Breaking's going to the Olympics. We don't know what's going to happen with it.
They're just following suit. Nike's
100%. Everybody's kind of just getting their foot in the water right now. And I thought to myself, well, after all my experience, this is what my feet cost. So for just shoes alone, this is what my feet cost. This is what my hat costs. This is what my head costs. This is what my hands cost. This is what my chest costs. And I looked at it as real estate. So altogether, how can I make a good number of 500,000, 300,000? Well, each part of my body is now going to be worth X amount. So where if I'm fully clothed, you want to get full exclusivity on my feet, my legs, my arms, it should equal close to about 250 to 300,000. I felt like that was my way, my approach. I didn't know what to do. I still am learning to this day, And so with that, I kind of created my own way of, pitch or, value. And so we started off with a non-exclusive deal with Reebok. And it was this is what a year of me wearing Reebok at only 4 events with 4 content posts. And Reebok gets my feet, at these events. And they asked for 2 exclusive events. Mm-hmm. So I wear Reebok at just 2 events, head to toe. And I was like, cool. And my purpose of that is for them to see what it looks like on a full exclusive deal. For me, head to toe, this is what it looks like, and this is what I'm able to do. So far, it's looking really good.
It's like Mariah Carey, right? Mariah Carey has a insurance policy on her vocals, on like her throat.
Yeah.
Right.
J-Lo with her butt.
Yeah.
Right. Like straight up, when
Is that a real thing?
it's like, yeah, it's a real thing of like, yo, where's your value? You know, and right now my value is my body. Like, and what I'm doing with it. It's like, what I do with my feet is crazy. What I do with my hands, you know,
it's
like
dangerous too, bro. Like I've watched you in a battle where you did a maneuver and you got a concussion.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Finished the round, finished that battle.
Yeah.
And then then got rushed to the hospital. Like we were watching it and I'm texting, you know, I'm texting B and I'm like, is he okay? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
We saw like it's dangerous.
That like swelling to the brain.
I think you showed
still.
me that. Yeah.
Yeah, straight.
You kept like replaying it or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh my
man.
God.
It's like we were trying to see like where did it happen? Where did it
Yeah.
happen? And we saw, we're like, damn, like that's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's like it's just like any other sport, you know, like any other intense like physical activity. You can get hurt, man. And you know, I leave for a long time. Like I'm gonna be gone almost all of June. You know?
Yeah.
What do I come home with? You know, what does my family get out of this? I get a great time and experience, traveling the world, you know, but I need to, I had to think to myself, like, man, like my goal was to travel the world. So I'm doing it. But now the new goal is to travel the world with my family. How do I get there?
Yeah.
And so I need to build these relationships while my body can do everything at the highest level to then take that money and then invest it into something where I can now take my family on trips.
So you could like hire them to be like your staff, right? And then get them paid through sponsorships.
So my daughter does photography for me whenever we travel. Whenever we travel local, like drive to events, or if we fly to Denver or something like that, she does my photography, or she follows me around with the camera and she gets credit for my videos. You know, they get paid a little bit here and there. Like, you know, it's dope, man. And my son, we compete together and we'll get paid. Like, let's just say this last one, we made $1,200 together in a span of 30 minutes.
That's amazing.
It's me and my son, right? And he's like, all right, so I get 600, right? And I was like, oh, you about to learn about business, baby. How much your flight costs, how much and we put that into it, and he's understanding like,
That's
man,
cool.
money doesn't fall from the sky. So it's like, you know, these little things that are helping my family
That's
too.
amazing.
You know?
You're already programming him and teaching him, you know,
Yes.
what the future looks like,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Two last things. Number one, you know, what's your advice to anybody out there that is a aspiring, you know, professional athlete, or more importantly, or more specific, an aspiring professional breaker, right? What would be your advice to that individual if that person is watching or listening?
Man, disrupt your environment. You know, cause a ruckus. You know, let the world know you're there. You know, make an impact. You know, you can move regular and you're going to get regular things out of it. You know, it just really depends on your desire.
Yeah.
And if you have the desire to achieve anything, you have to go get it. And it's like walking through a blizzard, and you have to be willing to be cold. You have to be willing to be tired. You have to be, these things, they're not obstacles. You know, they are what it is. They're
Part of the journey.
It is the journey. And you know, it's nobody's job to believe in you. It's your job. Their job is just the only thing people are there for is to witness the journey. It's your job to believe in you. It's your job to hold yourself accountable. It's your job to get it done. It's nobody's responsibility to see you succeed. You know, and with that thought process, mindset, you know, you don't have to be a professional breaker. You can be in real estate. You can be in business. You can be, you know, going to college to be a doctor or a surgeon. You know, like, how do you make a difference in whatever craft, field, or artistry you want to do? Is to disrupt the environment. It's to come in and add value. Yeah.
Well, brother, I'm going to say on behalf of not only our families, but, you know, our organization, you know, All In Nation, you know, we're going to be rooting for you. We're going to be keeping up with the journey, bro. And, you know, we're going to continue to support you, you know, the way that we do. And bro, I really hope that your dreams do come true, you know, over the next 12 months, man. So
yeah, I appreciate it, man.
with that being said, where can people locate you?
Man, mainly on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know,
What's the
yeah, so the handle
the name?
is gravity and 4 underscores official. And you know, mainly Instagram is like my main platform right
Yeah.
now. I do have a YouTube channel where
Yeah.
it's just, you know, B-Boy Gravity or Gravity TV.
Mhm.
And on there is my journey. I vlog with my family, vlog my events, have little docu-series out. And
Love it.
basically that's what I use those platforms for. And I, you know, film and edit everything to just basically, you know, show the journey, share it with my family, and leave something behind if there's any like question as what's going on in my life. And you know, on my own, actually, I do want to tell y'all, y'all inspire me too, by the way. You know,
Thank you, brother.
the way you guys operate, the way you guys move as men, as fathers, as husbands, and as businessmen. Like I've always, you know, been very, very intrigued to what you guys do and how you continue to like evolve when there's never a stagnant moment.
Yeah.
And I respect and value time. Like that time is like one of the most valuable things to be on the
Absolutely.
planet. And
Absolutely.
you know, I value the way you guys move, and you know, I truly believe in order for you to be who you want to be, you got to surround yourself around those who align with that same mentality. And you know, I don't ever want to be the most successful or the smartest or the most interesting man in the room. I like to be around men and women and people who strive for greater things through building with other great people.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that you guys have always provided, was a healthy, motivating environment. And
Thank
you
you.
guys have always, I know we just met, you know, but even just meeting the guys upstairs and Brooklyn, it's like y'all really created an environment that is inviting, and it's something that in breaking needs to be witnessed more, is being inclusive. Breaking has always been exclusive.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really hard to work with breakers.
Yeah.
You know, and so something that I've learned from you guys, and I do apply it, is, you know, being inclusive and listening to people and being open and being available,
Yeah.
no matter what, you know. So I just appreciate that. And that, just so
Absolutely,
you know,
man.
that transcends into the things that I
Thank
do
you.
as well. So
Absolutely.
appreciate y'all
Thank
too.
Collaboration over competition. you
All
know?
day working together
Right.
wins. Yeah.
With that being said, brother, thank you for being on the show today.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great one. It's been a good show. It's been great, bro. And looking forward to watching your journey over the next 12 months, you know?
Yeesh.
So
Happening.
with that being said, if you get value from this show, as you guys can see, this thing is taking off. Thank God. And it's because of you. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And your only fee, when it comes to this show, is share it with as many people as possible. And with that being said, we will catch you next week.
Woo.